Hi everyone, and welcome to another speed build. Today I'm sharing a rental house for college students that's inspired by a place that I saw when I was trying to find a place to live during college, and also one of the places that I lived in during college myself. So this is in more of an American style rather than the European one that came with Discovery University. And this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, like just capturing that feel of a suburban house that someone bought and then rented out to college students. So I was trying to capture the feel that these houses tend to have, and I'm not exactly sure how to explain it. Like, it's just sort of this plain bare bones type of a feel, and I think also the feel of a house that hasn't really had a lot of TLC put into it, like bare minimum is done as far as repairs go. I know that's not always the case with college houses. Like, there are some landlords that really care about the houses and really take good care of them, but there's other ones who don't and just try to go as long as possible without fixing issues as they can. So with this house, I wasn't trying to make something that was too decrepit feeling, but I wasn't trying to make something that felt super nice either. So throughout the house, there's just these plain white walls, and then to add a little bit of a funky feeling to it, I added different colored carpet throughout the house, and then there's also some rooms that randomly have wood flooring in them, and then there's also different kinds of tile throughout the house. So it kind of has this feeling of different things being changed at different times, and there's not really a super cohesive feel apart from those white walls that rentals typically have. And I use the white wallpaper that looks clean, like it's the one that City Living came with a more worn version of, and I just use the base game one, but it's one that doesn't really feel super clean and pristine, which I thought worked so well for this house. Because like, something I noticed with a lot of these houses is that on the surface, like, you look at them and you're like, they're not too bad, but then they'll sometimes have all of these issues that are masked, or sometimes they're not masked. It kind of depends. I remember one time my husband and I went to look at a basement apartment, and from the listing, it sounded like it was pretty nice, so we're really excited to see it, but there weren't any pictures on the listing, which I now realize was maybe a little bit of a red flag. But when we went to go actually look at the place, we were in for a bit of a surprise because, first off, the place smelled pretty bad, like it had this musty odor to it, and it also smelled kind of like someone maybe peed in the apartment. I don't know what the deal was with that. But then we went into the kitchen, and there was a drop ceiling in there. And I remember that one of the tiles was waterlogged and looked like it's about to fall from the ceiling, and there's also water damage. And the landlord just kind of brushed it off and made it seem like it wasn't really an issue and that it was fine. It wasn't going to fall out. Nothing to worry about there. And we went to one of the bedrooms, and it had a fireplace in it. And there was plywood just glued over top of the fireplace. So I asked what the deal with that was. And the guy said something about how squirrels tend to fall down the chimney, so that was there to stop the squirrels from getting to the apartment, which I found very concerning. So needless to say, we did not get that apartment because on top of those things, there were just other issues with it. And that place wasn't cheap either. I don't remember the exact cost of it, but it was pretty expensive. And as far as the little covering up thing, in the place that I did actually live, it looked fairly nice on the surface, but I just remember there was issues with it. Like, one time I went to go open the kitchen window and the frame came up, but the glass stayed where it was, so I just tried to get the frame back down over the glass as well as I could, and we just didn't open that window again. And the landlord didn't really ever fix it either. He didn't really seem too concerned about that. And that house also had a laundry and utility room on the second floor. And the tile was coming loose in there, so like anytime you walked in the room, you just end up kicking the tile. So we took all the loose tile and stuck it in a corner somewhere so people wouldn't trip over it. And the subfloor under the tile was rotten, like it was gray and black and white. It would just fall apart if you touched it, which was a little scary seeing as this is the second floor. So I always just kind of hopped over that spot and didn't actually step on it. And that was another thing that the landlord didn't really ever do anything about. Like, he said, oh, it's fine, the house is structurally fine. And I remember when he was trying to get someone new to rent one of the rooms out and he was showing people the house, he neatly put all the tiles back on top of the floor. Like, he was just trying to mask that was even an issue and showing people the place. So those were some of the joys of trying to find a place to live during college. It was just finding a balance between not going too far in a dead and at the same time having somewhere that was reasonably nice and wasn't too detrimental to my health. But getting back to the build, I'm currently working on the yard, and with the yard of this house, I was trying to have sort of an unkempt feeling because I didn't think it would really go with this type of house to have this beautifully manicured lawn with lots of pretty flowers. So I used some of the bushes that were unlocked with that sheet that we got over the summer. I think it was bb.show live edit objects. So I used a couple of them that had that unkempt look as they were just perfect for what I was going for with this yard. And other than that, I was trying to have a look of the grass being really patchy. So I used a mixture of different dirt terrain paints, and I also used one that is a mixture of dirt and grass. So I think that really gave that look. And I thought about doing something like taking that one grass item that we have in the buy menu and just putting it all over the yard to make it look super overgrown. But I decided to not do that because that sometimes looks a little ridiculous. So I think the patchy look got that across pretty well without looking too over the top and busy. So this is pretty much it for the front yard. So I'm just adding some trash cans around the side here, and I also added this one bin of just trash here next to that. I thought that went pretty well in there. After that, I went ahead and added some cars to the driveway. And I know I said this before, but I'm so glad that they unlocked these decorative cars because these look so much better than when we used to have to size up toy cars to get cars. Like, that always just looked super grainy, looked horrible, but it was what you had to do at the time if you wanted to get the look of a car. And I also added some drain pipes to the outside of this build because I was trying to add little details where I could to make this build look better because this is a very simple house. It is literally just a square with a carport attached to it, so I was worried about this build feeling too simple, so I wanted to do what I could to add some more realistic touches to it and try to make it look a little bit better. So another little thing that I did was that I raised up the land around the sidewalk just a little bit because when I was looking at pictures of houses, I noticed that that's something that you usually see. And I also raised up a can of juice and a cup onto the railing going to the front door. I felt like that was something that you might see on a house like this, and then we're just going through and adding some bushes around the side of the house, and then over here I just stuck some hedges, and once again there are some hedges that have a little bit of that unkempt look to them because I don't really see these college students wanting to spend a ton of time trying to manicure all these plants in the yard. And I also added a shed to the backyard because I just wanted something else in the yard other than just stuff placed throughout it, and I thought that would be good to put bikes in because I remember one of the places I lived in during college, there was a shed behind it, and that's usually where I stuck my bike, so I just like the idea of having that for this build here. And I gave the backyard the same treatment that I gave the front yard with the patchy grass and the unkempt bushes. And other than that, I stuck some activities throughout the yard, like we have a juice pong table and a keg, as well as a bonfire pit. So this is kind of similar to what I've done in some other builds, but it's something that I thought fit the build really well, and it also makes it so your Sims have some different types of activities that they can do within the build, and hopefully makes this build a little bit more fun to play in. And I really like the look of that particular bonfire because it just has a look of all of this junk that was thrown into a pile to be burned. So I like the idea that they grabbed a chair from in the house that broke and pallets and whatever else they could find and threw it into a pile to burn for some party. And I also added some more cups and juice cans throughout the yard because I wanted to have a look like maybe a party or gathering had been thrown there recently and they haven't quite gone through and picked everything up yet. Although I did swap out some of what I placed because when I was playtesting the build, all of it started smelling and I didn't really want to have that when you'll download the build. So I replaced all the cans with Power Sip because I found that that doesn't spoil, and the bonus is that your Sims can drink it, so if your Sims are low in energy, you can just find the cans of Power Sip throughout the house and drink them. Although maybe it wouldn't have been such a bad thing to leave the stuff that started stinking in the house because it definitely would have gone with the kind of vibe that this house has, but again, it was something that I thought would have been a little bit annoying for gameplay and that you might not want to have to clean up when you actually go to play the game. But as you can see there, I just stuck some various chairs around the bonfire. I really wanted the look of them not having a complete set and just kind of finding what they could and gathering it around the fire. And I added the usual water bucket and twigs next to it that I like to add. So up here, I put this really nice picnic table, and I just like that it has all the different colorful swatches. And one of the bedrooms in this house is furnished for an art major. So I like the idea that they just had this picnic table that they painted and they put it down there, or maybe it was there, and they decided they want to do a little bit of an art project and just went ahead and painted that. So here I'm working on the shed, and as I mentioned earlier, this is where I put a bunch of bikes. I just thought that was something that felt nice and realistic, although I think it would have fit as well if the bikes had been within the house, because I think in one of the places I lived, instead of putting the shed, I might have just dragged it into the living room, which probably wasn't the best idea, but there wasn't really a shed I could put my bike in, and also I didn't want it to get stolen if I left it outside, so that was kind of the only option that I had. And as you saw there, I just stuck a bunch of miscellaneous stuff on the shelves. I didn't want it to look like it was packed, but I wanted there to be a look of there being just random tools and stuff that was left there over time, and just kind of stuff that's accumulated rather than this whole like filled up shed that someone has. So now we're on to the interior, and as you can see, we've got the green carpet there in the living room. I was looking at some college rental listings before working on this build. I noticed that one of them had green carpet like that in the living room, so that was something that I thought would fit in really well. So with the style of furnishing this house, I was trying to keep things feeling kind of sparse because I wanted that realistic feel of a house that's furnished with miscellaneous stuff thrown together, like different people brought different things and then pieced it all together, and it at the same time not really being fully furnished. So I was trying to have that look of it being kind of sparse while at the same time having it not feel like I just half furnished the house. So I was trying to add the detail through stuff like clutter rather than having this house be super nicely decorated. And I think when I've done these other college type builds, I stuck curtains in all the rooms. But with this one, I just stuck blinds in and left it as that because I remember in, one of the places that I lived, there's just blinds in all the rooms and no one really bothered to put curtains up. So that was something that I thought really kind of added to that effect. Here I added the Foxbury banner up above the fireplace, and I ended up using Foxbury stuff throughout the house, but if you want to have Britechester students live here, then you can always go through and swap all of those out. And another thing was that I was trying to put less stuff on the walls throughout this house because I know normally I have a tendency to put something on almost every wall, but I was really trying to fight that with this build, so I was trying to have a few posters here and there throughout the room, but leaving more walls than I normally would blank because, from what I saw normally in the living room especially, you're not slapping posters up all over the place. I mean, I guess it depends, but from my experience, that wasn't really something I saw. Like, I remember the one place that I lived in with a bunch of roommates, I don't think anyone put anything up on any of the walls. Like, I might have had a clock that I put on one of the walls in the living room, but other than that, I don't think anyone really put up anything anywhere. So we just got that one near the door, and then I think I had another poster on the other side of the room near the sliding door, and that was about it as far as the wall decorations. And here just going through and adding some more clutter onto the tables and just trying to figure out what else I could fill the room with, but then I was realizing that I might as well just move that couch all the way back against the wall because there wasn't really enough space to put anything else back there anyway, and it was just kind of this awkward empty space behind the couch. So rearranging the room like that definitely made it look better and look a little bit less clustered together. I also added some musical instruments out here, like we have that keyboard, and I also added a guitar. So I was imagining that one of the roommates is into playing music, but they didn't really have enough space in their room for their instruments, so they just ended up sticking it out here. And I was also adding a patch behind the couch for good measure, just to make it look like there was a little bit of damage somewhere, like maybe someone hit the wall or banged the couch against the wall or something like that. Like as I said earlier, I was trying to not make this place look super decrepit and falling apart, but I wanted to show that there was somewhere in it. Like I also stuck that one water stain decal under one of the windows to make it look like someone maybe left it open or the window is leaking, so there's a bit of water damage below that. And here in the dining room, I'm just using a fold-up table with some miscellaneous folding chairs and that one chair that they find at the Spice Festival. Or not the Spice Festival, the flea market that's in the Spice District. That's what I'm thinking of. So here in the kitchen, I was trying to add a bunch of clutter to the counter to give that look of the kitchen not being super neat, because as I discussed in other roommate builds, I feel like a lot of the times in roommate situations, the kitchen isn't always the neatest. Like, people have different levels of cleanliness, so some people will leave stuff all over the counter and not really care, and then other people like it to be nice and spick and span. So I wasn't trying to make it look too bad, but I definitely felt like it looked a little bit more realistic to have some clutter here and there rather than having everything be super clean. And I found this package item in the debug menu, so I thought that looked really nice there. Like, someone got a package and, you know, maybe one of the roommates picked up a package that was for someone else and they just left it there on the counter along with something that came in the mail. And over here, I put some shelves up to make a pantry because I wanted to wall in that area where, like, I wanted to put a wall so I could have a door going to the basement. So I thought it'd be a really nice detail to make it look like there's a pantry in there. But unfortunately, I was having a little bit of trouble finding items that felt like they were what you would see in a pantry. Like, I found some birdseed and I just pretended that it was cereal that people had in there. Like, that was kind of one of the few things that I could find that felt like it fit in that spot. I also added a food bowl over there because I like the idea of one of the roommates having a dog. And I put some pizza out there on the counter, but that's another one of those things that I ended up getting rid of before uploading the house, because that also spoiled when I was doing the playthrough of playtesting of the house, and I just got rid of it because it didn't really need to be there. And I mean, it looked cool in the fly-through, so you'll see it there, but I figured it was better to upload it to the gallery with that extra bit of counter space for when your Sims do make food and for them to put stuff onto. And the last thing that I did down there was I added that water stain decal rug in front of the front door and the sliding door, because I was trying to make it look like the carpet there was more worn due to people coming in and out and just getting dirt there. So that was another one of those little details that I was just trying to add throughout this house. So up here, I added 2 beds into this bedroom because this is supposed to be like the master bedroom. So it's the only bedroom that has its own bathroom directly off of it. So since this one is a little bit larger, I decided to just put 2 beds in here, like 2 people were sharing a room to get cheaper rent. Because a lot of the times, like I think where I went to college, a room like this would probably be around $700 a month in rent. So if you can have that down to $350 by sharing the room with someone, then that is a pretty huge deal. And I also added some wood flooring in here, whereas all the other bedrooms have carpet. And I just did that because I like the idea that when they put wood floor into the dining room below, they thought, hey, let's put it in the master bedroom just to make it more of a hot ticket item than it already is. You know, so they figured if they put some wood floor in here, then maybe they could ask for an extra $50 to $100 a month in rent since it looks nicer. I don't know if that's a super realistic increase for getting wood floor, but I kind of felt like that was something that sort of made sense. Like, they were trying to give this room more of a premium feel than their other rooms. And with this room, I was also trying to make it feel like one roommate is a lot messier than the other. So the side of the room with the purple bed is the one that's a bit tidier. And I don't think I've gotten to it yet. I can't really see the other side of the room right now. But when I furnished the end table and the dresser over on that side, the one with the striped bed, I just went all out with the clutter and added a whole bunch of random stuff to the top of the dresser and the nightstand, whereas with this side over here to the left, I just added a few things. Like, I think I added a textbook and that was about it. So here I am just adding whatever I could fit on top of there. And then we've got this clutter item that came with Parenthood, with the backpack and the clothes and all that. And then I also added an additional pile of clothes on top of that. And I threw these cards in. I just thought, you know, maybe they had a birthday recently and they were just leaving the cards hanging around. That was something random that I liked having there. And I was trying to figure out if there was a way that I could make it look like that pile of clothing was on top of the bed, but I couldn't really get it to look quite right. Because another thing was that when I was looking at college rentals for inspiration, I noticed that half of them, they took pictures of the house when it was completely empty and looked nice, and then the other half, they just took pictures with everything still in the house, and like they would just take pictures of people's messy rooms, which I guess doesn't really sell the house quite as well as the nice clean pictures. But I guess you gotta do what you gotta do, and if people aren't out and you need to take pictures, then you have to take pictures. But anyway, I was using those messy rooms as inspiration for the furnishing in this house. I was trying to do what I could to kind of replicate that. But that is it for the bedroom. So now we're on to the bathroom, and we've got this lovely pink coloring in here, which to me just kind of screams dated 90s bathroom, and that is something that I thought fit a house like this so well. I think this bathroom is actually kind of cute. Like, it's really not that bad. But that is it for that. So now on to the second bedroom, and this one I furnished for the art major. And I also just shoved the headboard into the wall because that was something that I thought went with that college room feeling a little bit better, and just added to that. So we got the easel over here and some newspapers underneath it, so when they paint, they don't make a mess and get paint all over the floor. And then I was also trying to give this room a little bit of a cutesy bohemian vibe, and I really like how this room turned out. This room might be my favorite of the bedrooms. I did have to do a little bit of rearranging though, because I got the dresser in over here, and then I wanted to add a desk in, so I was like, okay, wait a minute, where can I fit this desk in? So I was just sitting there trying to move things around and figure out a way to keep the dresser where it was and put the desk somewhere else in the room, but I just could not get that to work without blocking something, so I ended up moving the dresser over next to the easel and then putting the desk in where the dresser is now, and that worked pretty well. And then here I'm just adding some textbooks in, so I think I put the fine art textbook, and I think the other book is just a random skill book, like I think it was a writing skill book. Yeah, so there's where I moved the dresser over there, and here I'm just getting this desk in over here and adding some decorations on top of it and just trying to fit a laundry basket in here. When I was furnishing these desks, I was trying to make sure that you can move the laptop on and off of it without turning on the move object sheet, and I thought I had it right, but it turns out I didn't, and I decided to just keep the decorations how they were on the desk. So in 3 of the bedrooms, that is something that you're gonna have to worry about. And I mean, all you have to do is just turn the move objects sheet on, and then you can take the laptop on and off the desk if you want to have it, if you want to take it with your student to class. But if that's something that you don't want to deal with, then you can always just get rid of the decorations. But I just really liked how they look, so even though it impacted the practicality of this build a little bit, I just decided to keep them where they were. But that's it for that bedroom. So this one here, I was trying to make a little bit neater and put together looking, because I wanted to have the look of someone who just went to IKEA and bought a nice new set of furniture rather than just mixing and matching a bunch of different stuff together like the room, like what I did in the previous room. And this room is also neater, so it doesn't have all the clutter in it that the other rooms did. And I just like that contrast with showing people with different levels of cleanliness, because that is, of course, always a thing that you encounter in rentals like this, especially if it's in a situation where it's not a group of friends coming together and it's just different people who found the house through listings or Craigslist or something along those lines. So I could definitely see the sim who has this room having the neat trait. And I also added some sports stuff into this room because I saw this sim as being into playing soccer or football as it is elsewhere in the world. And I did add that one, I think it was some sort of playbook with the Britechester logo on it. And I know this is supposed to be for Foxbury students, so I was just imagining that they somehow got a hold of the Britechester playbook, so they brought it home with them and they're trying to analyze it to figure out what Brichester's plan is. I really wish they had one of those with the Foxbury logo on it, but now we're on to the bathroom. And when I was hunting through the debug menu, I found that plunger, which is just such a great thing to have in bathrooms, so I need to remember to add that to more bathrooms in the future. And here I'm just getting the standard decorations on top of the sink there, and there's not really that much more to this bathroom other than that. So before moving downstairs, I had to figure out what to do with this landing area, and all that I did was I just stuck a chair there and I stuck another wall hanging on the other wall. Like, I really could not think of anything else to do with that area, and that was an area that I felt realistically wouldn't really have much in it anyway, so I figured it was for the best just to leave it a little bit more empty. But we're now into the basement. So down here in the basement, we have another bedroom, we have another bathroom, and then there's also a small laundry area and a sort of hangout area. So I did another party type basement thing like what I've done in other builds, but again, this is something that I think just makes houses like this more fun to play in. And I'm just imagining that if this was a real basement, it would probably have a little bit of a musty odor to it. And we got some lovely brown carpet out there and blue carpet in the bedroom. I actually kind of had fun with using the different colored carpet throughout this house. So here we have yet another juice bong table, which is probably unnecessary, but I mean, rain or shine, your Sim's gonna enjoy some juice pong if that's what they want to do. Although, if you want to, you could definitely replace this with a foosball table, and that would probably fit into the basement a little bit better and add some more variety. So if you don't want 2 juice bong tables, then that is definitely a good idea. We also have a bar there with that one secondhand lamp next to it, and I was just trying to once again have that look of just mismatched furniture down here. So we got that old looking couch, we have this repurposed crate used as an end table with a lava lamp on. I thought that was kind of fun, and more juice cans and cups down here, and another wall hanging. I was trying to put those flags down there because I thought that'd be kind of fun, but unfortunately they didn't size down, so I couldn't do that. I put that one scoreboard decoration on the wall there. I always like adding that next to foosball tables or juice bong tables because it just looks like they're trying to keep score of the game. And I also like how it has a little chalk doodles of it. I just like the idea of them just drawing random stuff there. And over here we have a random desk chair and a random armchair. And I was trying to not add too much stuff to the walls down here. So yet again, we just have a few posters here and there. I didn't cover every square inch of this wall in posters. And I did stick that one Illuminati type poster there at the foot of the stairs, but that's the one that I ended up getting rid of before doing the fly through because I just realized it was too much having it there. But we're on to the bathroom. So the Sim who has the room down here actually gets their own bathroom, or kind of gets their own bathroom. I was imagining that that Sim is maybe more of a loner and they took the basement because they wanted some privacy so that they could focus on their studies, but unfortunately everyone else decided to turn the basement into, decided to turn the common area into a party space, so they're a little annoyed by that, and they're a little bit annoyed by the fact that the party guests tend to use their bathroom, or maybe they're into the parties, I don't know, but I just kind of like the idea of a loner Sim who was frustrated that the basement is not as private as they thought it was gonna be. And I also added some dog stuff down to this room because I realized that I had been meaning to put a dog bed in one of the bedrooms, and I finally remembered that when I got down to this room. So all I could really fit was one of the small dog beds. So they have a smaller dog or even a cat. I didn't add a litter box to this build, but you could very easily fit a litter box in the bathroom that's near this one. And I also made this room for a Sim who's into photography, so we have some of the decorations that came with Moschino stuff. And I also added those pictures of Brightchester onto the wall because I was seeing those as pictures that they took and had developed and put in their room as decoration. There are also some music-related posters in this room, so I was imagining that maybe the instruments upstairs are this Sim's, or maybe one of them are, perhaps the guitar is theirs, and they just have it up there because they like to jam with the Sim who owns the piano. But I don't really have too much more to say about this build, and before I leave off here, I just want to say that I hope you all are staying safe and doing well. It's a really crazy time right now. Things are scary and kind of confusing. I've personally been avoiding going outside as much as possible, and I've also been working from home for the past week and will be for who knows how long. Other than that, this build will be up for download on the gallery, so I'll have a link in the description for that. And I'll also have other stuff in there, how to find it in-game. And that's going to be it for me, so hope you enjoy the rest of the video.